When we think of DC Comics, we think of the Titans: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. But hiding behind those heavy hitters are dozens of heroes who never got their chance to shine. Some were experiments of the Golden Age, others were satirical one-offs, and some blurred the line between horror and heroism. Today, we're digging into 5 of DC's strangest and most obscure heroes, and why they were forgotten. Let's start with General Glory. He debuted in Justice League International number 46 in 1991, written by Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis. And if he looks suspiciously like Captain America, well, that's the joke. General Glory was Joe Jones, a mild-mannered man who discovered a magic phrase during World War II. When spoken, it transformed him into a star-spangled super soldier with enhanced strength, stamina, and a very patriotic attitude. But here's a twist. Glory wasn't written as a straight hero. Much like something from Amazon's The Boys series, he was a parody. While Captain America was cool, noble, and sharp, General Glory was corny, cluelessly wholesome, and often painfully out of touch. When he joined the Justice League International in the early 90s, his old-fashioned ideals clashed hilariously with the more cynical, modern heroes around him. He believed in truth and justice with all his heart, but he was also kind of annoying? Fans either loved him as a tongue-in-cheek commentary on the Golden Age of heroics, or hated him as a joke gone on too long. And after a few years, DC quietly shelved him. Still, he's a fascinating snapshot of how DC poked fun at comic book tropes during that self-aware era. Next, we rewind all the way back to the 1930s with the Clipper. The Clipper is one of DC's strangest and most obscure crime fighters. Debuting in Flash Volume 2, number 23 in 1989, he was a ruthless Depression-era vigilante who punished criminals by literally clipping their ears so they can never again pass as honest men. His sidekick, Mason Trowbridge, joined him after being rescued from bullies, and together they prowled the streets during the 1930s. Known for his eerie catchphrase, "The Clipper guesses," he eventually retired, leaving his costume to Mason before fading into obscurity. While never a major player in the DC universe, the Clipper stands out as a bizarre mix of pulp-era justice and dark satire, making him one of the company's most obscure heroes yet. Now here's a hero with a different twist: Captain Compass. Compass debuted in Star Spangled Comics number 83 in 1948. Unlike Superman or Batman, Captain Compass wasn't really a superhero at all. He was more of a nautical detective. After retiring from the Navy, Compass became a special investigator for the US government. His adventures were set almost entirely at sea, solving mysteries aboard cargo ships, foiling hijackings, investigating ghost ships, and even dealing with the occasional sea monster. Think of him as part Sherlock Holmes, part salty sailor, no superpowers, but a sharp brain, iron nerves, and encyclopedic knowledge of the sea. Captain Compass's stories ran for several years in DC's anthology titles, but he never made the jump into superhero spotlight. Once the Silver Age ushered in flashy powers and cosmic stories, his grounding detective adventure fell outdated. Still, Captain Compass holds a unique spot in DC history, a reminder that once upon a time, mysteries of the sea could stand side by side with the masked crusaders. Fast forward to the late 80s and we get one of DC's darkest satirical heroes, the Homeless Avenger. First appearing in Vigilante number 48 in 1987, he was created by Paul Kupperberg and Steve Irwin. His origin? A nameless homeless man who cobbled together a costume out of trash and rags and decided to fight crime. Unlike General Glory, who poked fun at superhero cliches, the Homeless Avenger was a brutal critique. He was unstable, addicted, and desperate. A tragic figure trying to live up to superhero ideals despite having nothing. The Homeless Avenger didn't last long. His story was short, ugly, and uncomfortable, and that was the point. He forced readers to think about how mainstream superheroes ignore the people society throws away. Love him or hate him, he's a perfect example of how DC in the 90s wasn't afraid to use superheroes as social commentary, even if it meant creating a character that was never meant to be popular. And a lot of his look is actually inspired by Vigilante, so I think it'd be interesting seeing if James Gunn could bring him into like Peacemaker or something in the future. It'd be really cool. And finally, the strangest of the bunch, the thing that cannot die. And yes, that is its name. This character showed up in DC's The Demon Volume 3, number 16 in 1991, and while he wasn't a superhero in the traditional sense, he's worth mentioning because of how unique he was. The thing that cannot die was exactly what the name suggests, an immortal thing that was once a goblin that was cursed to wander forever. He was mostly featured in stories that focused on Jason Blood and the demon Etrigan, but it was more of as a punchy bag type joke. But he also was once able to meet Wonder Woman, who saw his pure at heart nature. The Thing That Cannot Die is one of those goofy characters that I could easily see becoming a beloved fan favorite by the audience if he were ever to be introduced to the DCU. So there you have it. 5 forgotten oddities from DC Comics. From patriotic parodies to pulp gunmen to sea detectives to satirical antiheroes to cursed immortals, DC's back catalog is a treasure trove of strange experiments. Some of these characters were jokes, some were genuine attempts at new directions, and some were just lost to time. But together they remind us that comics aren't only about icons, they're about the risks publishers take along the way. Which one of these obscure heroes do you think deserves a modern comeback? Let me know in the comments, and if I missed any, let me know which other ones I could cover in the future. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into comic book history. This has been Peak Fiction.